BRQ. Hi, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Awesome. My name is Chris Baldwin. I'm a program manager on the Intune product team based out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. My primary area of responsibility over the past couple of years has been kind of roadmap and planning and feature integration with the Android enterprise feature set. So really fleshing out our Android device management story within Intune and working closely with Google in a technical partnership to make sure that we do the best we possibly can do on those devices.
And my name is Sadal Mashari. I'm part of our customer experience team, and we're tasked with ensuring that enterprise customers can get the return on investment that they've made in Intune and actually use the service and get it deployed. And I also work with Google to actually flesh through some customer deployment issues and ensure that our joint customers are, again, getting the value that they expect out of our joint solution.
Thanks. And within Microsoft, the customer teams and the product teams work really closely together. Sada and I talk very regularly to compare notes and talk about issues. And so it's really great to be able to share the stage and talk about some things coming in the product directionally and also get some insights around customer deployments and things that are going to be relevant to just about everybody, I think. So here's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. First, we'll spend some time talking about Android's enterprise evolution. There's been a tremendous amount of change in this space in the past couple of years, and I feel fortunate to be able to work on it because so much has gone into the platform, so much investment in capabilities, and so there's a lot to talk about there. Then we'll drill into two of the key BYOD management scenarios that exist within Microsoft Intune for Android devices. We'll take kind of a deep look at the dedicated device or the kiosk-style device scenario on top of Android Enterprise, which is something that we released into the service a couple months ago. And then the final section will be some tips and tricks and considerations that you might want to keep in mind when thinking about transitioning your Android management estate from legacy-style management to Android Enterprise.
Cool. So when we set out to build Microsoft Intune, we actually looked at the available EMM solutions in the market, and the state of the industry was heavily focused on boundary-based solutions. So solutions that are built with a gateway in mind and bringing those devices back on-prem. The reality of the industry today and where we could see the industry going with Exchange Online and Office 365 and the proliferation of SaaS solutions was a world in which the boundary is less critical than it was in the past. Your devices, they're mobile, as the name Enterprise Mobility implies. They are outside of your boundary. The services that you consume are also outside of your boundary. And so when we built Microsoft Intune, we actually fundamentally built it as a cloud-first solution as part of Microsoft's intelligent cloud. And we actually wanted to bring that intelligent cloud to the intelligent edge and actually enable you to manage your devices securely with Microsoft Intune. And that extends to Android devices. Now you might be wondering, why am I talking about this stuff? We'll come back to it a little later on, but fundamentally, we believe that EMMs should be built to service the cloud. And that means supporting O365 and M365 ultimately to enable secure productivity. Because at the end of the day, as EMM admins, we're trying to drive productivity, mobile productivity, securely. Right? At the end of the day, if no one is using their devices, EMM admins don't have jobs. And so productivity is key. Back to you.
Thank you, Sad. So let's talk a little bit about how Android has changed over the past couple of years. There's been, since Android 5.0, like I said before, a tremendous amount of change that's happened. It was back in Android 5.0, or the Lollipop release, where Google finally started building some really deep enterprise features into the operating system. That's when the work profile came about and the device owner concept came about, which are really modern ways to manage Android devices. With each new release, as you can see on this graphic here, more and more capabilities have been added into the operating system, and the scenarios for managing these devices based on your use cases have just become more and more fleshed out. But one thing I want to call your attention to, which is very important, is look where the investment has been since Android 5.0. It's all been kind of in the middle section here, on the Android Enterprise Modern Management Stack. There hasn't been any investment on the legacy or device admin style of management in quite some time, and in fact, things have started to be taken away from that as well. So that's really important. Android management is really at a crossroads right now. The Android enterprise capabilities have been built out to an extent where now Google has felt that it is important for the ecosystem to start removing the legacy style or the device admin style capabilities for managing Android devices. So they're effectively saying, if you're managing Android devices or want to manage them in your organization, this is the way that you not only should be doing it, but starting an Android queue have to start doing it. So that's really important when you consider what's going to happen to the Android devices within your ecosystem today. And even though the most impactful change is coming in Android Q, because they're actually taking away some of that capabilities in favor of Android Enterprise, if you look back over history, this really did start a while back. I mean, back in Android 7 or Nougat, they started removing some capabilities from the platform in order to do pin resets, for example, on legacy style management. They added them back into the work profile scenario and the device owner scenario, but it's been a trend where they're starting to take away things that are perceived as security risks and perceived as user experience hurdles and building them into the new management stack. And so let's get specific about exactly what this means. Once a device will upgrade to either upgrades to or ships with Android Q, basically once it gets Android Q on the device admin or legacy style management stack really won't be viable for management any longer. And specifically, they've started taking away some key APIs, and probably the most impactful of which is the one that will allow you to, as an MDM admin, enforce and set a device pin code. So that will not be possible. That's kind of the canonical thing that everybody wants to do, and there's more, but that's really kind of the most impactful one. And so that will be unavailable once devices upgrade to Android Q. The important thing to remember also is that all the capabilities will continue to exist for pre-Q devices. So anywhere from Android 4.4 to Android 9, which Intune supports today, you can still continue to manage these devices as you do today if you wish. And Intune will, of course, continue to support device admin management for as long as it still continues to exist, because we know there's kind of a longer tail on Android upgrades, especially compared to some of the other options.
So Chris, is Google taking away the APIs from EMMs or from all apps?
Great question. Yeah, so they're taking it away from the operating system, in fact. And so this is something that is built into the Android OS at the core level. And so therefore, all EMMs are going to be impacted by this. And so for many years, we've always got the question, like, this sounds very new, or what about my older devices? Is my organization going to be ready to move to this kind of management? And so it's a really common question, and so we pulled a couple different data sources here. So this graph shows some data that's pulled from two places. The lighter blue column is data pulled from Google's public dashboard that kind of reports about the versions of Android that are in the world that connect into Play services worldwide. And the darker blue column is data that we've pulled from our own Intune telemetry, which indicates the versions of Android that are under management. And so the takeaway here from the slide is that really the majority of the devices that exist are Android 7 and up. And 7 and above is really a great place to be when you look at whether or not devices are going to be suitable for Android management, because there's a tremendous amount of features there. The takeaway here is that the ecosystem, we believe, and we recommend, is at a point where there's confidence enough in the level of device modernness that it really does make sense, and you could safely move to this new style of management. So why is this even happening? Why has Google done this, and why are they discouraging device administrator in favor of the Android enterprise stack? Let me just, I guess, get a show of hands first. How many people are managing Android today in their environment? Okay, a lot. And how many of you are using Android Enterprise, either work profiles or? Okay, good. Okay, good. And so for those of you who are using device admin, or those of you who are familiar with it, a lot of these things are probably going to ring really true to you. But just to kind of drive the point home, let's talk a little bit about it. First, the management provided by device admin is really kind of what it's really one size fits all. Users, and end users in particular, for BYOD programs really demand privacy and expect their data to be safe. And it's a matter of trust when those devices are enrolled into corporate MDMs, because they want to be assured that you as the admin don't have any rights to wipe their entire device, or to view their pictures, or to make phone calls. You can see that there's a pop-up here on the screen, allow company portal to make and manage phone calls. I assure you, Intune does not make any phone calls, ever. But nevertheless, because device admin was not designed for deep administrative use, we require this permission to do some things in device admin mode. And we take great strides in Intune to not do malicious things in this way, but nevertheless, the perception with the end users is there because they have to grant these rights on the screen. Secondly, for corp-owned devices, where your organization owns the devices and you want to manage the devices like you own them because you do, the level of management possible with device admin is really, really light. You don't have full control over these devices. What you really want is something akin to iOS supervised mode, but on Android, where you have deep control over whether or not the user can unenroll the device, controlling Wi-Fi connections, turning on and off NFC, Bluetooth, the deep kind of management that you want to have. And finally, there's no App Store integration whatsoever. Google Play is kind of the place where all Android apps come from in the ecosystem. And when you're in device admin management, it's really, really hard to deploy applications because you get an inconsistent experience depending upon whether or not your application is a line of business or an in-house application, or if it is in the public store. There's no automated way to do that. That all changes with Android Enterprise. And I talked a little bit about the subpar user experience due to system pop-ups, and we hear this from a lot of our customers that, take the example of course, applications again, but also certificate installations. When you push a certificate to a device as an MDM, it's calling APIs in the device that were not designed for administrative use. And so therefore, the system, the Android system itself, pops up these dialogues that ask the user, hey, do you want to install this cert? And it's a very sloppy, scary-looking dialogue because it's kind of a scary thing to do, and users don't understand that. Quite understandably, they'll either back out of that installation or they'll call help desk, and it causes a lot of issues. That's something that Android Enterprise really strives to address. One of the biggest risks for malware on Android devices is the installation of applications from unknown sources. So if you go into the control panel on your Android device, you can check that box that says allow installations from unknown sources, which allows you to download APKs over browsers or sideload them onto devices. And there's risk there because those applications don't necessarily go through any kind of scanning for malware or reputation analysis. And all of these things are provided by Google Play. And so when you have an App Store experience on your device that is integrated with Play, you really mitigate a lot of that risk. And finally—
So one question, Chris. You mentioned sideloading. So what if I have my own LLB apps that I want to sideload with device admin? How do I do that?
So with device admin, what you're probably familiar with today, maybe you're familiar with it too, who knows? You have to upload your APK directly to the Intune service. So you go to the Intune console and you upload your APK and it's stored within Intune. Then the distribution of the application is done directly through the company portal. It downloads the APK and installs it. So.
Okay. But do I need to turn that checkbox on?
You do. Yep.
So I need to turn on the security risk to sideload my own LLB apps.
That's exactly right.
In device admin.
Yeah. And
Wow.
when you turn on that switch to enable unknown sources, that also comes with a pretty scary warning from the operating system that says, this is going to be a security risk. You're opening your device up to potential malware because these applications are coming from an untrusted source. Yet another thing that gives end users pause when you're telling them that they have to do it in order to get managed, in order to look at corporate resources and read corporate email.
And this is an Android specific thing, not an Intune specific thing.
Yep, that's right.
Wow. Scary.
Yes. And finally, fragmentation causes inconsistency. Because the device admin APIs were so light, and there really wasn't a lot of there in terms of management, a lot of the OEMs took it upon themselves to do their own kind of interesting things and to make the experience sometimes better, but oftentimes different. And so you would end up in a situation where you have a device from one particular manufacturer or from another manufacturer, and they're all running the same version of Android, but nevertheless, your enrollment guides and your end user guides and your end user instruction might have to be a little bit different because they're just a little bit different from each of the individual manufacturers. And so that causes inconsistency and causes issues. So for all these reasons are things that Google's kind of trying to wipe the slate clean, and they started fresh with this new modern management stack. Any of this stuff ring true with anybody? Are these indicative of challenges that you've seen in your enterprises managing stuff? Okay. Now, hand it back to Saad.
Cool. Thank you, Chris. So let's talk about Android Enterprise. So there are two main buckets of scenarios. Obviously, your personally owned devices and your corporate-owned devices. So in Intune, the way that we look at managing Android devices is, let's start from the left with Android app managed. That's our lightest touch approach. If you don't want to be in the business of managing devices, we provide you the ability to manage your applications, right? That is the lightest touch possible to secure your productivity. So Intune is actually applying the policy to the apps. We build an SDK that enables Android apps to protect themselves. So we provide encryption for the app, we provide PIN, we provide data transfer limits, all built into the app. So if you have a key line of business app that requires those protections, you're not in the business of coding that from scratch. Instead, you can take the SDK and integrate it with your app, or if you're being provided a APK directly by your developers, you can wrap that app yourself. So you have two options there in terms of how you actually enable this. All the main Office apps already support this, so if your LOB apps need to talk nice and securely with the Office apps, that's something that Intune, Android App Managed, enables. Now let's say you actually want to go a step further, right? You want to get in the business of managing a device to an extent. That's where Android Enterprise Work Profile comes in. And what Work Profile does is it uses OS-level capabilities to spin up an isolated profile in the device. And that isolated profile, you can almost think of it as a separate user account on the device. It has its own storage, it has its own applications, and it isolates the apps from the rest of the device. Now, the reason that exists is twofold. One, it provides you security. At the same time, your apps that are coming from the store don't require the SDK, the Intune SDK. You're not writing code. They're public line of business apps. You can't go out there and just change the code for Salesforce, for Workday. But you can bring them into the store, into that container, and allow them to play nicely with Intune managed applications. So with the Office apps that are managed by Intune, constraining the flow of data to personal OneDrive whilst still communicating with your LOB apps that you're installing on the device. But it also provides protection for the end user and privacy for the end user. And that's really important if we go back to what I talked about earlier around the goal is to drive mobile productivity. And to do that on a personal device, you need to actually encourage the user to enroll. And Google firmly believes in this as well, and that's why they actually build protections for the end user into the OS with work profiles. And so there are restrictions over what you can see and do in a work profile as an admin so that your end users feel comfortable with going down that path. Now let's move to corp-owned. And with corp-owned, we have two key scenarios. First is what Google calls dedicated devices. Those are your kiosk-type devices, your barcode scanners. They're essentially single-use or a couple-of-use function devices that do nothing else but that function. And corp-owned scenario relies on a permission called device owner. And device owner, you can think of that like, if you're familiar with iOS, think of it like a supervised iOS device. Right? You're doing something special to that device during the setup of the device that implies that you own that device. So enrollment into the corp-owned scenarios can only be done during the setup of the device. And at that point, the EMM agent code has full control over the device. So all the stuff that Chris listed earlier on with device admin, you can now do all of that through the device owner permissions that you've obtained through that process. So dedicated devices locked down. You can see an example of a home screen there that's completely locked down. Only a few key apps are running on the device. In that scenario, we don't associate the device with the user. The idea is that as a kiosk device or as a barcode scanner on the factory floor, that's going to be shared across multiple devices. There isn't a tight user affinity on the device. Now, one thing that you would have heard at the What's New session is that we're going to be introducing fully managed device scenarios with Intune. And we have a preview planned for this year. And what that will actually enable you to do is to take your corporate-owned and issued smartphone devices that have user affinity, or tablets that have user affinity, so devices that you're allocating to a user, and take that device owner permissions and integrate that with the rest of M365 and provide conditional access on top of those scenarios. So you can actually issue a fully managed device. Now, the beauty of Android Enterprise is that all of this works across all of your devices that are capable of running Android Enterprise, right? And Chris highlighted the version requirements that are out there. But the benefit is you're not single sourcing to a single OEM. You're going out to market and buying the devices that you need in the regions across the world that you need. And we think that's incredibly powerful. So one of the things that we did when we started these conversations with Google about moving to Android Enterprise, and we were having the conversations, and there's two approaches to doing this. There's a legacy method that requires writing code on devices. But Google actually started talking to us, and as we described the Intune service and how we designed and architected the Intune service, Google actually said, well, hang on a minute. We're actually introducing something new. And we wanted to share the actual underlying architecture that pins the Android Enterprise dedicated device support in Intune today and will underpin the fully managed device support for personally assigned devices. And that's something called the Android Management API. And Google actually built the Android Management API as a cloud service. And so we firmly believe that integrating with that cloud service as a cloud-first EMM is the best approach. So what happens here is we actually deliver policy down to the Android Management API. And the Android Management API uses something called the Android Device Policy app. And that's their agent. So Google is writing the agent, and Google is writing the intermediary service. We are taking your policies and delivering it down to the device and integrating the solution with M365. The benefit here is it gives us engineering agility that we can pass on to you as value. What that means is that we can continue to provide zero-day support for Android releases like we do today, but with increased agility, so that we can ship you new features and new capabilities faster than we've ever been able to before, because of that dependence on the Android Management API and the synergies that building on top of a cloud solution as a cloud solution provide us. And so I'm really excited about this, and Chris is going to show us a little later on some of the new stuff that we've been able to add to our corporate-owned single-use solution since it shipped with a phenomenal agility. So Chris, back to you.
All right, thank you, Saad. So one thing, I talked a little bit about how Android Enterprise drives consistency of user experience on devices, and Saad touched again upon how it's driven down to the operating system layer, so you don't have to really kind of make strong choices about which OEMs do particular things differently than others. But there's also some interesting things happening in the ecosystem as a result of the larger Android Enterprise program in general as well that are kind of really important to talk about. And the one thing is that Google has come out with this thing called Android Enterprise Recommended for devices. And you can go to their website, and basically it's kind of a certification program that sets forth a lot of requirements and behavioral characteristics in terms of amount of RAM, what apps should be pre-installed, how swiftly the devices should get and continue to receive updates, all these different things you might be looking for in enterprise-based devices. But what's really interesting is that they introduced a new category recently for rugged. And as part of the rugged category on this site here, you see partners such as Zebra and Sonim, makers of traditional task-based devices, getting on board with Android Enterprise to be able to deliver these capabilities in a similar, consistent kind of way. And so now you can take one of those devices that appears on that list, take, say, a Zebra device that runs Android 7 with Google services, and you can manage that device using the same set of capabilities that you can with the rest of the dedicated device solutions. So I encourage you to take a look at that. Secondly, there's an initiative that you may have heard of called OEM config, and this is an interesting thing that's coming out, which is kind of an explicit acknowledgement that the platform provides a lot of capabilities, but there's always going to be some special sauce and differentiation and value that OEMs are going to want to add on top of devices. And so traditionally, the way that has to have been handled in the past was that the OEMs would have their own APIs on the device, and the EMMs would need to write special code for those particular OEMs on those devices, calling their APIs, proliferating the test matrix, and causing additional work to be done until OEM config. So OEM config is a standards-based way where an OEM can do that work themselves. They can build the capabilities into the device themselves to call their own APIs and expose those settings through the Android Enterprise native app config channel. And so what this means is that, so if say you take a device, you can make up an OEM that would support this at some point. There's an example here of Sony, who they've come out with some of this. If Sony adds new capabilities into their configuration extension app, which is based on OEM config, when you load up this app in the Intune console, you'll see a dynamic list of settings that is provided there. And we can get that list by querying their service, which means as soon as Sony adds some new setting to this particular app, we'll be able to see it immediately in the Intune console dynamically, and you'll be able to use it. So the swiftness and the agility that Saad was talking about before is also going to be compounded by this effort, because we'll be able to provide you with the ability to use OEM-specific capabilities when you choose to through this.
Excellent. So let's talk about Managed Google Play. So a fundamental piece of Android Enterprise is Managed Google Play. And Chris talked about when he talked about device admin. Fundamentally, there is no API available with device admin to push install Play Store apps. Literally, the only thing that an EMM can do is deep link into the store and go, I hope you install that, and I'll nag you if you don't at best, but that's all I can do. And the change with Managed Google Play is Google finally realized that they actually need to provide a full-blown mobile app management solution within the OS. And so Google Managed Play provides silent installs for required apps, and it provides IT control over what can be installed in the work context. Now, that work context is either the work profile or it is a fully managed device. In either one of those scenarios, Managed Google Play is intrinsic to the mobile app management of that device. And so the idea is that a consistent experience is provided across the board. So you'll see in this example, we have Salesforce One. The same experience would apply to your LOB apps. Managed Play provides the infrastructure for uploading those apps to Managed Play and then delivering the apps down to the device as securely as you would a public app delivery. The other benefit is it provides fully managed app configurations. And so it's more than just an app configuration channel, because other platforms have app configuration, right? You can set a given key and a value pair to a device and get that to land on a given app. What Managed Google Play does is it actually reads the manifest files of an APK, understands what the underlying settings that are built into that app are, and exposes it in the UI so that we can then surface it to you in the Intune console. So we can actually tell you, hey, this app has the following settings. Now, you may not know what those settings do, but at least you can go back to the app owner and say, hey, which one of these settings do you need me to apply? You actually can discover them now. It's no longer a dark art to go and beg the app owners to maybe go out and talk to the app vendor and maybe get the list of their app configs and maybe tell you what that list is. You can now actually say, hey, I can configure all of this stuff for you. Do you want me to configure any of this? Chris, do you want to talk some more about what the in-app experience looks like, or in the console experience looks like?
I would love to. So part of the feature set within Managed Google Play that Google has brought out was this notion of iframe integration. And what this means is that some of the more complicated things related to managing applications that traditionally had to be done on other websites using different credentials are being brought back into IT admin consoles. So today, for those of you who manage Android Enterprise today, you're probably familiar with the experience of what it takes to go add public applications into Intune. Number one, you have to go open up a new browser tab or window. You have to remember to sign in with a particular account that you onboarded onto Managed Google Play with. You need to search for and select those applications to approve them. Then you need to close that window and go back to Intune, go to a different tab, hit sync, and then will the application appear in the Intune console for you to target it. So we've integrated this to be able to make that so much easier. So now the app browsing and adding experience is integrated within the Intune console. It doesn't require a second sign-in, doesn't require you to remember those credentials, and it's been made so much easier. And so let me show you an example of what that looks like. I think we go to 7 or 8. There we go. So this is a video that we made of this code working in our pre-production environment. That's kind of why you see the yellow banner here. We expect this to be within the service within the next couple months, but this is actual working code that we're just trying to get some final sign-offs for. I think it went dead. Did you?
Yeah, that's me.
There we go. Why'd you do that?
Just to break your demo.
Thanks. So here we go. Now, the application experience is that you click Add, just like you would any other app. You select Manage Google Play from this list here. And then you click this little button here, which opens up the browsing experience within Intune. So now you browse for any applications, just like you normally would. So for example, Outlook, you select it, you click through to it, you would click Approve, which approves the application's permissions on behalf of your organization. And then once you finish that, you go back and click OK, it'll automatically synchronize the apps back into Intune. So you were able to do this without opening a new tab, without signing in, and it's really made so much easier.
That's really slick.
Yeah. Cool, thank you.
I got it.
And so the cool thing about this is that this is only one of the first things that we're going to be able to bring to you here. And this will happen, like I said, within the next couple months. There's more stuff happening here as well. And there's a couple other things that Google is building into their iframe, which we're going to be able to expose in the Intune console that we're really excited about. First of which is the ability to do private app publishing. So if you've ever published your line of business applications for Android Enterprise, you know that process is a little bit cumbersome. You have to go to the Android App Publishers Console and follow all of the exact same steps that you need to follow if you were publishing a public application to the world. You need to pay the money, you need to kind of do these questionnaires, you need to add the screenshots, and it's rather cumbersome for IT operations when you just want to get your in-house applications out to your users. And so we'll provide integration within the iframe structure in the Intune console for doing that, which does not require any of those steps. And secondly, another thing that's coming is the ability to publish web links to Managed Google Play. So this is a first-class experience for web apps within Managed Play, which allows you to publish and deploy web applications, which would deploy with icons onto devices and will open up and will be able to be managed just like regular apps. And so I don't have timelines on that nor anything to show you, but these are absolutely the very next things that are coming with respect to Managed Google Play integration, and we hope to be able to turn that around soon. So it's just an example of the kind of things to come that are made possible with this. And I just showed you that. Thanks. And so another thing I'd like to talk about is Android Zero Touch. So if you watched the Tristan and Daniel's presentation the other day on corporate provisioning, you know that we have full support for all of the provisioning services across all of the different device manufacturers and platforms that Intune supports. But let's talk a little bit about some of the Android specifics. So Google recently established their own program called Zero Touch, which is the automatic enrollment service for Android enterprise devices. And this is available with any of the device owner or corporate-owned scenarios from the right-hand side of that slide that Saad showed before, which basically allows you to get devices from a certified supplier who will transmit the device characteristics into this service. And as soon as you get those devices and turn them on and connect them to Wi-Fi, the device automatically knows, number one, that it's supposed to be managed by Intune. And secondly, it knows that it's supposed to be enrolled into your Intune tenant. So you create those configurations and the device just enrolls automatically. So it's very equivalent to Windows Autopilot. It's very equivalent to Apple Device Enrollment Program. And we're really happy to be able to have this on Android today too. So as Saad mentioned, we support one of the device owner or corp-owned scenarios today, which is the dedicated device scenario, and this totally works today. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Actually, I'll show you in a second. And Zero Touch is just one of the ways to enroll Android enterprise devices into corp-owned mode. It's also worth mentioning that we support Knox Mobile enrollment for the device admin scenario today, and we expect within the next couple months to have support through some collaboration with Samsung for Knox Mobile enrollment support additionally for these Android enterprise corp-owned devices as well. So if you've got Samsung devices that you want to enroll as corp-owned or any of the other ones that support Android enterprise, you can choose either of those services and basically have the same experience, automatic enrollment. If you looked at Terrell and Paul's presentation from Tuesday, they did a great demo of the enrolling a device with a QR code. So Intune will basically spit out a QR code, and if you've got an Android 7 or above device, you can invoke a QR code reader during the setup process. And enrolling a device is easy as scanning it and then watching it go. There's other ways to do device enrollment as well, and that's listed on the slide here. So number one, NFC is a way to do that. If you know how to format an NFC tag in a particular kind of way, you can provision NFC tags and just tap the tags on devices to get them enrolled, and that's supported on Android 5.1 and up. Android 6 and above has a special enrollment feature that allows you to type in AFW # setup on the very first screen that asks you for a Google account, which automatically tells the device, I'm going to start down the corporate enrollment path, and is equally guided. QR for Android 7, and then Zero Touch for Android 8 with most of the Android recommended devices. So let's take a look at what the Zero Touch experience actually looks like. First, I'll go to the console. So here we go. Here's a view of the Android Zero Touch console, number 8. There we go.
I keep wanting it to be 6. It's not 6, is it?
Why would it be sequential?
No.
So here's a look at the console. And this is Google's console, and so with this, you as a customer would have one of these that would be established by the particular resellers that you're working with. And if you go to the resellers tab, you can see a list of devices that have been affiliated with my particular Zero Touch account. And devices. So that's a list of resellers, and here's going to be your list of devices. So some of these devices, I've got a Pixel 2 device here, which I have already affiliated here, and I've associated it with this particular configuration profile. So the configuration profile has a couple different things in it that I will point out to you. First, what it has is it enables you to type in a bunch of different, first you select Intune from the drop-down here, first and foremost. And secondly, you can add some personalization information here. So when the device gets picked up by the Zero Touch service and that enrollment starts, it'll show the end user or whoever's using the device what exactly is happening and who owns that device. Secondly, you need to affiliate this particular profile with that enrollment token that I showed you on the QR code screen from Intune. And here's how you do that. This is fully documented on the Intune website, and this is just how it looks. But this is where you do the wiring up of that enrollment profile to the Zero Touch configuration.
Is that your phone number?
This is my phone number. Please give me a call. Yeah.
All right.
And so, if you could help me switch to number 7. Again, what I have here is I've got a pile of devices here that I bring with me. The TSA loves it when I go through security. So I've got one of these devices here. This is a Pixel 2 that has been registered here. So if I go start this whole process here, I don't have a SIM card, so I'll skip it, but I'll connect to the Wi-Fi here. Demo Wi-Fi. Let me just put the password in, and it is under the bottle. Okay, so I put the password in here, and I hit connect. And so as soon as it connects, it kind of checks for a couple updates, and it will reach out to the Zero Touch service and will make the determination that yes, this device does in fact belong to this particular customer, and it should be enrolled into Intune. So this will pop up in just 1 second. And it'll basically guide you down the path where your only option is to get that device enrolled into corp-owned management. It says it may take a few minutes. I've never seen it take more than 1. There we go. So now this is the first screen that you see, and it basically says this device is going to be monitored and managed by Contoso because I configured that in the text fields in the screen there.
And you'll notice there's a message there that says Android device policy. That's what I referred to earlier in the architecture slide. That is the agent-side code that Google has built that we are directing.
Yep. And you can click through some of these links here, and you can see some of that text that I filled out on that screen here. So here's my phone number and, again, my personal email address,
okay.
Which explains kind of who to contact if you believe the device has been wrongly claimed. But in the end, you click through, and basically you set up the work device. And so in a minute or so, this device will be dropped into device owner mode and will appear in the Intune console. So that's how that works. As a bonus demo, I've got some NFC here. So I've got, I mentioned that NFC is possible as well, and NFC is actually really powerful because you can program an NFC tag to contain not only the enrollment token information, which gets your device enrolled into Intune, but also things like Wi-Fi configuration. So you don't need to actually do anything on the devices before you get them started with enrollment. You don't need to connect them to Wi-Fi first so that they can download the QR code reader, or connect them to Wi-Fi so that they can reach out to Zero Touch. It's all here. So I've got an NFC tag here that I purchased off some online retailer. I forget what they're called. They deliver in 2 days. But you can get them very, very cheaply. And I've programmed it with a specially formatted NFC tag, which has all the information here. So I will touch the device to the tag. And basically, it recognizes it. I accept and continue. And so this device previously was not connected to Wi-Fi. You'll see the Wi-Fi connection turn on. It'll connect to the Wi-Fi network that I've affiliated with this tag here, and it will go through that process and will enroll the device. And so this is a very powerful way to enroll devices, especially if you have a large number of them. You can just set them on a table and go kind of tap, 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 tap. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, are your NFC skills how you got the demo devices out of my room last afternoon?
Yeah, I hacked your room key too, okay. So yeah.
As long as it was you, that's fine.
Yeah, yep. And here we go. So in the next week or so, there will be a blog post explaining exactly how to do this, exactly what I've showed you today on one of my colleagues' Intune blogs. So kind of look out for that coming really soon. I think that's it. There you go.
Thank you. So let's start looking at alternatives to device admins. What we actually want you to do is actively start investigating and planning, and we'll talk about it a little later on at the end of the session, around looking for alternatives for device admin. And today, if you have light protection requirements, you should absolutely look at Intune Android app managed as a way of doing that through the Intune app protection policies. Right? That enables you to manage those devices without enrollment, without that footprint for the end users. If you have the dedicated device scenarios, today, go to Android Enterprise. We fully support that. We have for about 4 months.
For the dedicated devices,
yeah,
I believe that sounds about right. Yeah,
something like that. And bear in mind that for Android Q, device admin will be unavailable. So, Chris, when Android Q comes out, are we just going to magic all the device admin devices out of Intune?
That's a great question. Yeah, so this is something that we're actually trying to actively plan. And okay. So hearing some of your feedback around what that experience would be best for you would be great to hear. There's a number of things we can do within Intune to make this experience great, and we'd love to hear from you. We can go anywhere from evicting the devices for management as soon as they catch an Android Q update. To me, that sounds a little heavy-handed because if someone's device updates overnight, they wake up and suddenly they can't access their email. Or we can provide guidance to the end user to say, hey, your device, if it upgrades to Q, you're going to have to do this, and kind of guide you through that. So come talk to me offline. We're totally collecting feedback. That's the phase we're in for this kind of initiative right now. You're going to see a lot of guidance come out really soon from us around how to think about planning things on the IT side. But the end user experience is definitely.
But what about my customers' P devices? What will happen to them in Intune?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing?
Yeah.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all. They
will continue to be managed with DA.
That's right. So
even though Google's deprecating, we're not deprecating.
That's right. Yeah, if you were listening to what I said earlier, you'll know that this impact only starts when devices get to Android Q. And for as long as device admin continues to exist and be viable, Intune will continue to support that.
Excellent. So let's talk about BYOD a bit more. So as we talked about earlier, the key requirements for BYO are twofold. One is to ensure the protection of corporate data, but the other is to provide protection for the end user and their privacy. And it really needs to be twofold, because otherwise you just simply won't get the devices into your tenant and under management. So let's talk about considerations about work profiles. So Some MDM capabilities are available in Work Profile. You can push down certificates, VPNs, and Wi-Fi's profiles, and those are containerized within the Work Profile. On the flip side, though, you will have limits on what you can see and do on the device. So you cannot factory reset the device. So it's important to set that expectation with your end users, because we know that there's a variety of experiences and levels of knowledge within a user base. So some end users are fully capable of going to the Android device manager and unenrolling using their Play account or their Google account from unenrolling, wiping their devices from Device Manager. That said, there will be users who actually expect IT to do that for them, even on their personal devices. So communication is key to say, we're moving to Work Profiles. This means that to wipe your device, if you lose it, you will need to do this. Now, as IT, you can always remove the Work Profile and your corporate data from the device. The difference is, though, that it's around end user expectation of what they can expect out of IT to perform on their device. And it actually is a good story, right? Yes, you're pushing the end users to another system to fully wipe their lost device. But that said, it also means to the end user that you cannot wipe their devices. So, the key takeaways are for Intune App Managed that only use that scenario when you only want to manage the apps, right? It is the lightest touch option for no device enrollment, and we've seen customers take that as their default path. For Work Profiles, if today you're using Device Admin with Work Profiles, Device Admin with personal devices, Work Profiles is the path that you should take for those personal devices. All right? Some key things here, we can actually set a separate passcode for the Work Profile as well. So that means you can actually say to the end user, I'm not really bothered what your passcode is on your device, but once you step into the Work Profile, I'm going to require a passcode at that level. We have separate storage for contacts as well. So if you're a European customer and you're concerned about GDPR, this is one thing that a lot of our European customers enjoy because they can actually containerize the contacts within the Work Profile. And another element to notice is that the UI indicates the corporate apps in the home screen with that little badge icon, and some changes have happened in P to make that a clearer experience, or Android 9 to make that a clearer experience. So Chris, back over to you.
Thank you, Sud. So let's talk a little bit about some of the dedicated devices, the scenario that I just showed the enrollment for. This is something that is a little bit new with Intune, at least since the last Ignite, and so we'll spend some time talking about that. The dedicated device scenario, you may have heard us refer to this in the past as COSU, or corp-owned single use. It's all different terms for the same thing. These are scenarios that really address configuring devices and managing them for really specific core purpose-built scenarios. These are scenarios where, number one, the device has no user affiliated with it. That is, the device is entirely userless. All targeting of policies and applications goes to these devices through device groups only. And the devices are heavily locked down because the users are restricted from getting into settings or installing or uninstalling their own applications. They have a very tight, very restricted experience where they get to use only the applications that you configure on the screen for them. One of the key challenges with some of the prior kiosk solutions that existed in the past within Intune was the necessity to kind of go through and sign into the device with a personal Google account in order to have access to the store. Because this, like all Android enterprise scenarios, are based on managed Google Play for app distribution, there's no requirement whatsoever that you need to have an end user's Google account on these devices to make that work. That's all obfuscated from you as the IT pro. And we support the ability to put these devices into a single app configuration where you've got just one application that you choose that is locked to the whole experience, and also a multi-app configuration, which is kind of what you see here, where you can have web apps and applications that are available for your end users to use. Now, one of the things that is very unique about our dedicated dedicated solution from Microsoft that I want to bring to your attention is some of the stuff that we're doing to bring a lot of end user innovation to this particular use case. And so how many people have heard of the Microsoft Launcher or use it? It's 4.6 rating, millions of users. I use it myself. It's changed the way my relationship with my Pixel 2 when it comes to using it for work. And we've partnered with that team who builds this application with great end user mind and great user experience to bring similar kinds of experiences to dedicated devices as well. And so through this partnership, we've delivered what's called the Managed Home Screen app, which is basically a launcher-style application specifically designed for this dedicated device usage. And that allows you to do things like deploy apps and web links, add and remove web links remotely and apps, automatic downloading of icons, and there's a whole set of new innovations that we're going to be able to release in the next couple months thanks to this partnership. And some of the things here are, for example, an IT-defined PIN code for exiting kiosk mode for on-site support scenarios. Home screen wallpaper configurable branding we know is huge, especially for these dedicated and shared devices. And some virtual home button to help you switch some of the apps. So we're really happy about this, and we feel like the possibilities for what we can deliver on these dedicated devices is vastly enhanced through this partnership, and we hope you see value in that. So here's an example of something that might be coming. So these are very early designs. I cannot promise that it will end up looking like this in the end, but here's some early thinking. So the feature here that you're seeing is as an on-site IT support person who's managing this fleet of dedicated devices, the devices are heavily locked down. You can't get into settings. It's hard. You can't change anything about it. So if something happens on that device, it goes offline or a Bluetooth connection goes down, what do you do with it? Well, the end user would bring you that device, and right now you can't really get that device out of lockdown, so you can't do anything. This is a feature through the managed home screen which will allow you to, as IT, specify an unlock code for this device that you would enter here, and you as the IT support person type in this code that you know, and that will drop the device out of kiosk mode. You reconnect it to the network, you delete Bluetooth connections, do what you need to do, then put it back into kiosk mode, hand it back to the user, and we feel like this is going to really make on-site support for these dedicated devices a whole lot easier. This is something that a lot of our customers who helped us preview this feature set have asked us for. So let's take a little look at what this looks like. It's number 8. Oh, actually, yeah, it's 7, sorry. My bad, you did it right.
I finally got it,
You did it right
Chris,
that time.
And
So what do we have here? So I've got here a Samsung device, which is in kiosk mode here. So basically, this is the experience that you're going to see when you put these devices into this dedicated lockdown mode. And so you can have basically a very heavily locked down experience where you can't get into settings, you can't really swipe off anything here. You've got apps on here, you've got web apps, so you can kind of click this as a URL to the Azure portal, which will open up in a browser on the device. You've got full applications which you're able to use, and as I said, like it's very locked down, so the end user really can't do anything. So this is the experience on the device, and again, this is a Samsung. This is a Nokia, which was enrolled earlier with the kind of exactly the same profile. And you can see one thing that is which is important here is the consistency. When you enroll these devices with the same enrollment code and token, you get basically the same applications on the device, the same ordering of things, and things look very much the same, and you have the same kind of locked down experience. So if we go back here, I can show you some of the things in the console that we have. So flipping back to the Intune console, some of the things that I will show you are some of the device configurations. So as part of device owner mode, with the dedicated devices, there's a lot of new knobs and switches for these particular kinds of devices that are really suited for these kinds of lockdown scenarios. And these things did not previously exist within Intune for management on the Android platform. And I'll call your attention to just a couple of them. So first, as Saad mentioned, the agility that we're getting through integration with the Android Management API has allowed us to add some of these settings really fast. So if you looked at the number of settings that we supported when we first released this feature, we've released about 7 or 8 more of them just in the recent months, and that's kind of a testament to the agility that we have here. So there's more coming all the time. And a couple of things I'll point out to you here are, number one, there's control for system updates. So this is actually an important thing if these devices are deployed out into stores or onto work fields where you don't necessarily want the device to automatically install an available update and restart. What if that happens during store open hours and you're using it as a point of sale system? That would not be good. So you can use this option here to define maintenance windows, for example, to say if there are any updates available, that's fine. We want them installed because you want to stay current, but handle them during this particular window of time, not while the store is open.
And it also does app updates as well, right?
That's right. Yeah, we've got this option here to allow you to control whether or not the updates that come from Managed Google Play will happen over data, or user gets the choice, or they should only happen on Wi-Fi. Another thing here is the factory reset protection. So if a device is lost or stolen, you can define an administrative account here, which would allow when that device, if that a thief or whatever were to use the special button incantation to reset the device through the hardware layer, they'll be asked for this particular account when they sign back in. So you don't really run the risk of the devices leaving and becoming someone else's property. And so there's a bunch of settings here: USB file transfer, NFC, and so forth. And in terms of the actions that are available for these devices here, some couple new device actions are possible here. So for example, when you're looking at one of these devices that is managed through device owner mode, you can do some new things. Let's see here, where's the Samsung? Let's do the HTC. So you see, for example, you can wipe the device, factory reset it, you can restart the device, reset the passcode. So I'll show you a restart. Can you flip over to the Wolf Vision?
Yep.
So we'll do a restart, and it should restart the device I have on the right here pretty quickly. And there it goes. So the device is restarted. These are capabilities that are pretty useful when these devices are deployed out into the field.
It even did it over the conference Wi-Fi?
Yeah, believe it or not. Managed to get that through. Okay. Let's go back to the slides, and that was number 5.
Cool. So let's talk about planning your Android enterprise deployment. So we really see 3 phases here. First and foremost, look at your LOB apps and start planning to publish them into Managed Google Play. Get familiar with the app publishing process in Managed Google Play. Next is plan for phasing out device admins, and we'll dive into each one of these in a second. And then ultimately, start looking at adapting to work profiles and how to use that with Intune app protection as well. So first and foremost, moving your apps into Managed Google Play. First, make sure you check that checkbox right here that says privately target this app to a list of organizations. And because otherwise you will publish it to the public Play Store, which is probably not what you want to do with your LOB apps. It is also possible, if you have multiple tenants, to target a single app. Because remember, you're acting as the app publisher in this scenario, and you can actually publish it to multiple organizations to appear in multiple environments. So if you have a test, pre-prod, and a production tenant as a large organization, you can actually choose to publish once and make it available across all of those tenants, or one of those tenants, and then finally into production when you're all ready. Bear in mind that an app can only be published once. You're now using public infrastructure, so you can't just magic up any APK name, an app name, to use on your LOB apps. You have to actually have a consistent naming strategy that is unique to all the public app names. One other thing to bear in mind is that this is a relatively, within the last year it was added. Initially, Google didn't have this capability. And so what would happen is every time an app would request new permissions, Managed Google Play would go, well, I need you to come in and approve those new permissions. Because you approved the initial permissions, there's some new ones, and now you need to go in and approve those. And this applies to public apps and your private apps if your app devs are developing their own applications and have their own independent work streams. So what you can do is you can actually say, keep the app approved even if permissions change. Because what ends up happening is otherwise deployments will fail. They'll just not land on the device. So in most cases, keeping that approved is a good idea for app developers that you trust. If you don't trust your internal app developers, there's probably another problem that you need to address.
We can't help with that.
No, we cannot. That is a people problem.
One other thing about application permissions is that since Android 6, they've introduced runtime permissions into the platform. And so applications that require what Google has designated as what they call dangerous permissions, these are things like access to camera, access to microphone, location, phone calls, file storage. These things are things that since Android 6 require the end user to affirm a prompt for. You've probably seen this. The end user gets a prompt that says, this app is looking for microphone permissions. Do you want to accept it or deny it? Because you, the IT person, are putting these devices onto these managed devices, be it in the work profile or on a corp-owned device, you get to control the approval state of those permissions, and you can do that through Intune. So for example, if you're publishing a camera application or a scanner application, you would want to make sure you go set that configuration within Intune to say, if this application is requesting camera permissions, just go ahead and automatically accept it without prompting the user.
Yeah, because you don't want to push that down to an end user that's picked up a device and goes, well, do I accept or decline?
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
you get into a bad state once they decline.
You can automatically decline those permissions too if you wish, but something to be aware of.
Excellent. So let's talk about phasing out device admin, right? We fundamentally want to get away from device admin. So for work profiles, because that's personal devices, I mean, device admin was never really suited to that anyway, because you're taking full ownership of the device. And so what we recommend here is looking at what we call a cap and grow strategy. And so target all new enrollments to go towards work profiles. Existing devices will remain in DA, and then eventually just age them out of the system, because again, what you're really planning for is the queue devices as they come in. You need to cater for that anyway. So you might as well get a head start today and manage that change rather than waiting for the last minute as the queue devices start appearing in your environment. Manage that communications change with your end users, plan for it ahead of time, and start enrolling. Because again, work profiles works across a wide range of devices. You can just mandate that as a service policy or an IT service policy to your end users. You can use Intune enrollment restrictions to configure pilot users. So you can start testing work profile today, even if you don't have multiple tenants, right? If you only have the single tenant, you can use Intune enrollment restrictions to begin that process and get feedback from your end users and your service owners within your businesses. For dedicated devices, bear in mind, as I said earlier, going into device owner mode requires a factory reset. And that's important to bear in mind because you need to plan for that, right? That is going to imply some level of device downtime. For new devices, we recommend that you look at the Android Enterprise program that Chris discussed and look at devices that are Android Enterprise recommended. And the reason for that is that the hardware on those devices is just far superior to the standard Android device because they're specifically targeted for the enterprise market. Look for OEMs that support zero touch as well, right? That will provide you the best experience as Chris showed us, right? It's out of the box, everything gets enrolled. If you can't get devices that have zero touch, that's fine as well, right? We've talked about the NFC, the QR code, the token-based enrollment.
KME
right?
as well.
KME as well, once we have DO support.
Yep.
And then we talk about fully managed. The key thing to bear in mind here is that these are devices that are assigned to users. They will also require a factory reset to go from DA to DO. And that's something that you really need to bear in mind when you consider your rollout, is that you will have to take the devices off the end users, reset them to go from DA to DO. And this is, again, a Google requirement to ensure that the high level or the high security privileges that DO has are only applied on corporate devices. We are going to be working out additional guidance in this space as we add our fully managed support scenarios in the preview. So look out for guidance there on our recommendations for that space. Anything to add, Chris?
No, you got it.
So just to cap us off, work profile tips and considerations. So these are some common questions that we see from customers on work profiles. So first and foremost, we fully support Azure AD conditional access with Intune work profile managed devices. And what that will do is it will prevent any apps that are supported with conditional access for device compliance from running in the personal profile. So if you launch Outlook in the personal profile, Outlook will say, no, I'm not running on this device, even if it's enrolled, unless it's run in a work profile. The other thing to bear in mind, and under the add a policy screenshot that we have there, is it is possible to actually say, only apply this app protection policy to apps outside of the work profile even. And the benefit here is you can actually provide multiple services to your end user. You can actually say, if you don't even want a work profile, we'll provide app protection policy outside of the work profile. On DA devices, we will provide app protection policy. But if you're inside a work profile, I'm going to ease off of the restrictions here to enable you to transfer data between the apps in the work profile, whether or not they're Intune app protected or not. Last but not least, you can actually pre-configure allowed accounts to ensure that apps like Outlook only launch the managed account in the work profile. And that's important for your end user experience, because what we've seen is end users will add their personal accounts in some instances to the Outlook app inside the work profile. Now, Intune app protection comes in and you're still secure, right? You can't move from the personal to the corporate profile inside of that Outlook instance. However, the end user experience is confusing because you've told them that the work profile is important and provides them the protection and everything's protected in there, but they're adding personal accounts in there that are still protected, but it's just a confusing user experience. So you can use this setting to actually say, I'm only going to allow corporate accounts to be added to Outlook. And the way that we control this on the work profile is, remember, only the managed apps that are going into the work profile will get app configs. So that's a prerequisite in Android to get app configs, is it has to be an Android enterprise device to get app config. And with that, I will transfer you back to Chris.
Thank you. I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. So that's all that stuff Saad was just talking about. I'll show you how to do that. So let's go to here. So Saad talked about the allowed accounts app config setting. Actually, this guy. And so I'll show you what that looks like for Outlook. So here's a little view of the configuration designer screen that allows you to, number one, view all the app configuration settings that a particular application exposes to Intune. This is dynamic, so anything that is published by the app publisher into play will be able to be displayed here. And I've chosen Microsoft Outlook as the app in question here, and I've added one of the several configurations that it provides. Here's the list of all of them here, but I'm just going to pick that one. And this is the one that's allowed accounts. So like Saad said, the identity model with work profiles is you tap on one of the badged applications, that's your work app. You tap on the non-badged app, that is your personal app. But applications like Office that have this native multi-identity experience within the app, well, that doesn't really mesh with the user experience that well. And so what you're going to see in a lot of the Office apps is this ability to kind of turn off the ability to add additional accounts. And like Saad said, that's great for use inside of the work profile because you get to have that consistency of experience. And so what I've done here is I've said for Outlook, my allowed accounts are going to be basically the UPN of the enrolled user. That's what that looks like in the Intune console. And so if I flip back to the devices view here, I've got a Pixel 2 XL that I've got enrolled as a work profile. So this is the Microsoft launcher, but I'll go back here and I'll show you that I've got the company portal with a badge on it that says this is enrolled as a work profile. I've got Outlook in my work profile here, and when I run it, the first thing I'll point out is that you notice when I unlocked the device, it didn't ask me for a PIN at all. But when I go into some of the work profile apps, well, now I'm getting pinned. This is a feature of Android 7 and above, which you can configure with Intune that allows you to say, I don't manage the personal device. It belongs to the end user. I don't care if they have a PIN there or not, but I want to make sure that there's a PIN on all the work apps because I manage them and they touch my data. You can choose to do no PIN, like the example I showed you here, or maybe say, end users, you should have a 4-digit PIN for your personal stuff, but I want a 6-digit complex PIN for my work apps. And so these applications, in particular Outlook, has MAM policy applied to it as well. So like Saad said, if I were to install this application on a device admin device or a non-enrolled device as this particular user, the app itself would pin me because that comes from the application protection layer. Here, I've selected that box that Saad talked about that says, I know that I'm in a work profile and I set the pin on the work profile, therefore don't pin me here in this case. And so for allowed accounts, I see I'm configured already with a email account. And if I try to go here and add additional accounts, add corporate account, add additional account, I get this message that basically says, sorry, this has been turned off. IT's already specified you can add this particular UPN to here. We're not going to let you do anything else. And so that's just an example of how that ends up looking on the end user's device when you've configured that. All right.
Should we talk about some takeaway?
Yeah, let's do takeaways. So the takeaways that we really want you to leave here with is that really now is the time to start planning for this stuff. Q, if you look at the release schedules, we don't have any inside knowledge of when Q is coming out, but typically new Android versions drop in late summer. I believe P was late August or early August or something like that. And Q is already right around the corner, and it's coming. So it's really time to start taking a look at this. Android Enterprise Recommended is a great place to look for capable devices. And finally, I hope that the big takeaway here is that we're doing a lot of work here and trying to add a lot of value here and provide full support for all of the Android Enterprise scenarios. Intune is committed to it. Our app partners are all committed to it as well. And we look forward to just giving more and more. A lot of these sessions have happened in the past, but you can totally go look them up and look at them online, on demand.
Well, LA's hasn't happened yet.
I was just about to mention that, yeah. So my colleagues Ale and Lisa are doing a session this afternoon on iOS and Mac, so go check that out. And a bunch of other great things that have happened or will happen. There's probably some even happening right now. Please submit an eval. Please be brutally honest in your comments. If you want us to come back, let us know. If there's anything you want us to change, also let us know. We truly, truly do value this feedback. So we've got about 3 minutes for questions, if there are any.
But be honest, but gentle. I am very, very...
I know. You have very...
My self-worth as a human being is based on those evals.
You're very fragile.
I got an easy one for you.
Great.
All right. So I was looking... I can't see that drop down where it says manage Google, where it's like store app. I don't see Google Manage Play.
Yeah, it's not there yet. So that's good. What I showed you was a video from our pre-production environment.
Okay.
And we're just getting some final sign-offs on that. We expect that to be live for you in production within the next couple of months.
So I'm about to kick this off, like literally next week. I got a workshop going where we're
Yep.
going to start the design.
Yeah. So what you'll need to do is you can still add the apps. You just have to go through that somewhat more convoluted process that I talked about before.
How about any chance of some early access or?
No, sorry.
Oh,
It's we're trying to get it out as soon as possible. But if you've got a set of apps that you want to approve in the Play Store,
Right.
these are public apps you just want to approve, right?
Well, it's like Outlook and all that stuff.
Exactly. So you still need to go sign in separately to the play.google.com/work, but you can approve all those in one go.
Right.
And then just do one sync back in Intune and bring them in. Okay. It's not the friendliest experience, which is why we built this feature that we're trying hard to get out, but
So at the end, the end result will be the same.
End result, yeah, identical, the same.
Okay.
Yep. Green? I don't know. Sorry, I don't know who was first.
That's fine. So the question is, can you double up apps inside and outside the container? You have people with a personal box and whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can. And in fact, that's the way it works. Like the user on the personal side of the device, you have no control over that. So you can't control what they install. They're free to install anything they want from the Play Store on that side of the device.
Okay.
You control only what goes into the work profile. So it's very possible and likely, I'd say, that you'll end up in a double app kind of situation.
Perfect. Okay, thanks.
I'm just bringing that up now, if you want to take a look.
Oh,
You can
let's
actually
go to-
see there's
go to
two
this
copies
mic.
of Outlook.
So I'm provisioning a device-wide VPN, and I was wondering if that connection was within the work profile only. Does that prevent all of that data from transitioning outside of the work profile to other
Yeah.
parts of the device?
Yeah, that's a really common question too, and I'm glad you asked. So any VPN connection that is applied within the work profile is available only to the applications within the work profile. If your VPN provider additionally supports per app VPN on top of that, you could choose to further restrict it to specific apps within the work profile. Typically, we've seen customers just say, if it's in the work profile, it's good to go.
Yeah, because we have to reset all of our devices when we offer VPN. So if we don't have the ability to do that remotely, we have to figure out a way to make sure that that data doesn't get lost.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yeah. 18 seconds until we have to vacate the stage.
Whenever you approve an app in the Google Play Store, or whenever you unapprove an app in the Google Play Store, it remains currently in the Intune store. Is that going to be a way to get rid of that?
Yes, there absolutely will. I thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, right. So today, it's not possible once you sync an app into Intune to get rid of it off that list. It's terrible that that's the case, and I apologize for the fact that it's been that way for so long. That is also changing very, very soon. We've got designs and code underway to make that happen.
Perfect. Thank you.
And trust me, I get Chris to add Pokemon Go to all his demo tenants.
Yeah, he added a bunch of embarrassing apps to my tenant, and now I can't get rid of them, so I can't demo with it anymore. So I feel that pain too. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Totally hear you on that. So we have to get off the stage, but we'll stick around for a bit.